Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Have another 2025 rookie profile show here for you today. We're going to talk about UNLV senior wide receiver Ricky White. All right, he's going into his true senior season. He was one of the most productive wide receivers in college football last year, only behind Roma Dunze and Malik Neighbors, came in third in receiving yards. So he is an exciting prospect headed to the 2025 NFL draft. We know where Adonze and Neighbors got drafted. Ricky White was right behind them, those two players in yardage. But what does his profile look like as a player that we're going to draft in our 2025 rookie draft? So that's what this show is going to be all about. You play Dynasty, any kind of fantasy football format, this show is for you. We are digging early into the 2025 NFL draft class. That is what we do on this channel. So hit that subscribe button. Help me grow the channel. I've got tons of films on here, probably 15 to 20 of other 2025 rookie prospects on here as well that I've been dropping these once or twice a week. So I appreciate you tuning in. Let's talk about Mr. White and his prospects going to the NFL next year. All right, he's 6'1", 190 pounds. Seems to be the ideal size and frame anymore going to the NFL. But let's take a look at his receiving yards here, and these are some PFF grades as well. These are his stats from his 3 years. He started out at Michigan State, 2 years at UNLV. Last year, he really blossomed. These are his regular season stats here: 1,300 yards, 7 TDs. His PFF grades in the 90s, which is pretty solid in the upper echelon of wide receivers in college football. Like his versatility, we're going to talk about that when we get to a scouting report. He played primarily out on the boundary 75% of the times through his 3 years of playing football. But he's got that versatility. We're going to see that. You're not going to see it. I'm going to talk about it, about how he was used at UNLV last year. His yak yards, as you can see on the screen, have increased every season. So he's got some yak ability. We're going to talk about that skill set as well. Reduced his drops last year. Contested catch percentage isn't great, but you know what? That's not really how he's going to win in college football and at the next level, given his draft capital and where we kind of think he's going to get drafted. All right. So before I do these films, I'm very much into watching all 22 films, right? So I watched his Vanderbilt film and his Kansas film, and on my Dashboard subscription service, I have a film breakdown with him and Luigi Tadone, who was one of my Dashboard contributors, and we broke down Ricky White's film. We broke down every play. If you want information on that stuff, hit the email up. Hit me up via email that you see on the screen. Give you a 2-week trial subscription. I got all 22 film breakdowns of pretty much, a lot of the rookies that you're going to be drafting next year. All right, let's get to Mr. White's scouting report after watching those two games. And I've watched plenty of other games, but in all 22, it's really a good way to watch these players. His overall skill set, I like his versatility. I love the fact that this guy plays on the boundary, but he plays also 30%, in the slot. On the films that we watched, we saw him getting used in wide receiver screens, but he was also a vertical threat. He took handoffs. He was really utilized throughout 3 levels of the field, which I really like. There's some guys that are just deep ball, jump ball guys. I like players who bring versatility to the table, and I think White fits the bill with that. He can win on short in routes and out routes, and he can also go 9 routes and deep posts and all sorts of stuff. So I think he's an explosive vertical threat, but he also has some possession skills to his game, which will lend him good in his overall skill set. Versatility, I think, is something the NFL really likes. Somebody who can win in the short and intermediate as well as vertical. I think he brings that to the table. His ball skills and hands, I think, are excellent. On the films that Luigi and I watched, he has really good boundary awareness, toe taps, leans outside, grabs the ball, seems to have good technique, but his body control, a trait that's like super important for wide receivers. He really shows the ability to snap, out of breaks and stuff like that. But really on the boundary, he had 3 or 4 plays within those 2 films that really showed his awareness of, trying to, create that space to the defender and really made some tough adjustments to the ball and came down with the ball. So like his ball skills and hands, his body control, I'd like a lot. His yards after the catch, as I mentioned previously, they've gone up every year. And I think this guy has the ability to do some damage in the second level. Love his vision in the second level. I love the way he, I'm a big physicality guy, and watching film, I like the fact that he doesn't shy away from contact, fighting for all those extra yards. yards, 2 or 3 plays where, I mean, he's getting hit in the yards after contact with him, with always having a forward lean, was really impressive to me. I like the physicality he brings to the table. All right, let's talk about some things that maybe will hold him back as far as draft capital, which we'll talk about in a minute. His route running, I think, is kind of his technique is good, but it's not great. But really, the lack of route tree is probably something that was something I'd like to see more of. I mean, it was a lot of the same routes that I saw. It was either a go route or it was an inside slant after 10 yards or an out route. Didn't really see a lot of usage in the middle of the field. It was kind of on the boundary, and he would do, like I said, inside slants or quick out routes, dig routes, those kind of things, or it was like vertical. So didn't see a lot of plays in the middle of the field, going down the middle of the field. But anyway, I mean, again, he's got another year. I think he could be a Senior Bowl standout, right? This is the kind of player I could see going to the Senior Bowl next year and being one of those players we talk about where he's just really working DBs over and stuff like that if he has another good season. All right, so that's what I'll be looking for his 2024 film coming up. He's got another whole year to play, obviously, and see how he can do that and increase his technique and style. All right, his play strength too. I think he's a physical player. Just not, again, a lot of film out there where he's got a DB in his face and, really challenging him. I think they respect his deep speed a little bit and his vertical prowess, so I think they kind of play off him a lot, but I don't see many times where he's hand fighting and getting off press coverage, right? Which you don't see for a lot of college players when you watch film, but nonetheless. But I like his physicality and his willing to get dirty, and he does not shy away from contact, something I value very highly. All right, let's get to his tape grades real quick. Love to go through this process on these films. All right, his release and route running, I gave him a 3.5. I think, again, I think he's good, but it's a limited route tree. I'm going to be looking for a little bit more technique. I'm going to be looking for a little bit maybe different usage to see if he can, because you see the same plays over and over and over again, but I think he needs to vary his tree. He'll need to do that at the NFL level. His ball skills and hands, I gave him a 4. Like I said, his boundary awareness is great. His body control at the boundary is good. His hands, a lot to like in that department. Acceleration and speed, I gave him a 3.5. I don't think he's technically a deep threat burner. A lot of those vertical plays, he did have a DB on his hips. I don't know if he's like one of these guys that's going to dust you, but I really don't care. I'm more about short area quickness than speed. I gave him a 3.5 here. He showed some acceleration off the line of scrimmage, but there were other times where he was, not like showing that burst. I don't know if that was like a tempo thing or whatever, but I'm going to give him a 3.5 right now with thinking that maybe, don't really know what his speed is. I can really find anything on the internet of him with like 40 times or anything like that. All right, yards after the catch, I gave him a 4. I think he's really good at that. I think he's got the ability to do some damage in the second level, right? That's what we love about our wide receivers, right? That's what we loved about Malik Neighbors coming out this year, right? His yak ability was the feather in his cap. Great receiver, but man, he could do some damage in the second level. I think Ricky White has that ability. He's going to be physically limited a little bit on how tough he can be, but he gives it the effort, and I like that. Physicality and athleticism, gave him a 4 as well. I think he's very athletic with that body control. I like his physicality, so I gave him a 4. All right, the other stuff we like to talk about on these shows is his draft capital. All right, I got him right now as an early day 3 guy. Now, you might be saying like, hey, look at the stats. He's right behind Adunze. He's right behind Neighbors. He's got to be a better, they were first rounders. And I was like, you can't always go by production when scouting football players. All right. It's all about the traits. I'm sure the NFL scouts, they look at those production stats, the metrics and analytics and all that good stuff. But it really comes down to the physical traits of being able to create space in the NFL for a wide receiver. So that's what I base my draft capital on. Not so much production and analytics, but more of, can I see what I see on film? Can I see that production lending itself to the NFL? I think he's an early day 3 guy. Now, he might come out his senior year and blow it up and have a great season. He could maybe be a day 2 guy, but right now, as we're here just heading into the 2024 college and NFL football season, I'm going to give him a day 3 grade. All right, my comp for him is Luke McCaffrey. Really like Luke McCaffrey coming out of Rice. If you're on this channel before, do a Luke McCaffrey search on my YouTube channel here. You guys will know I was a fan of him, and I was really surprised when he got day 2 draft capital by the Commanders. But, maybe Ricky White can kind of follow in those footsteps. Maybe he is a day 2 guy. But what I liked about a more trait-to-trait skill set of what I saw on the field, I really like Luke McCaffrey's game as a versatile player. You watch his game at Rice. He was a fun player, tough player, good hands. Gotta love that. His dad and his brother and all that good stuff as well. So, all right, physicality, or I'm sorry. So is he a buy, sell, and a hold for me right now? So if you have him on your Devy, you play C2C, you play Devy, right? You might have him on your C2C squad. I think he's a hold. I mean, I wouldn't sell Ricky White. I'm not sure I'm going to go out and buy him. So I think he'd be a solid hold for me right now. I'm really excited to see what he can do and see if he can elevate his draft stock. But I think he's a good wide receiver. It's probably going to be a top 20 wide receiver in the draft. A lot yet to watch in football, yet to find and make our final, determination, obviously, of their draft capital. But fun player. I think his arrow is on the up. So I'm going to say hold. So there you guys got it, man. That is my thoughts on Ricky White. Hope, again, you enjoyed the show. Hit that subscribe button. Help me grow the channel. And again, if you enjoyed this show, go and look at all the other rookie profile drops I have on here. I've got all sorts of 2025 rookie content headed your way, and film highlights from the 2024 college football season are going to be heavy on this channel as well. Thanks for watching.